Good evening, everyone, and welcome to AOH Primetime. We have on the set right now a very special guest, Helen Welch. And of course, we were discussing your title, international vocalist, entertainer, cook, comedian, producer,
cat trainer.
And I understand we have video.
Yes,
you wear a lot of hats. You do a lot of things. And entertaining audience is probably your favorite, absolutely. And we have a show coming up at E.J. Thomas.
We do.
Yes.
Thank you for that lead-in.
Of course. We'll start right there, December 14th.
Yeah, and it's a very special show for me because this is Ohio is home. That's as much as I'm going to say about where I'm at. But Ohio's home, and I've been producing and performing shows at the Civic and E.J. Thomas for probably 15 years. So it's really special to come back. And we're bringing Carpenter's Christmas to E.J. Thomas Hall.
Very good. Mm-hmm. And tickets on sale now.
Yes, they are.
HelenWelch.com is the place to go.
Yeah, you can get them from Ticketmaster, HelenWelch.com. There's a little exclusive offer going on right now, so they can take advantage of that if they want to. It's a 4:00 show, so we can all go out for dinner afterwards. That's the reason why we do a 4:00 show.
Bring them downtown. We love to bring it.
Thinking about my food.
Yes. We have wonderful music venues here in Akron. E.J. Thomas, the Civic.
Yes.
And we are so lucky to have this. And of course, you have experience around the world, but all you do in Cleveland and all of those venues, certainly impressive. But I would think we are very fortunate here to have E.J. Thomas, or the Civic. Describe
Rubber City, Rubber.
Oh,
what's that one called?
The East End development.
It's a Rubber City Theatre too.
Yeah. Oh, the night stage.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yep.
So describe the experience of walking out on the stage at EJ versus any of the other venues you play, the Akron audience.
Home turf. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like the Cavs playing at home.
Sure. Sure.
Although audiences, actually, I have to say, American audiences are lovely. They're very generous audiences. British people are way more reserved, and they're a little bit, okay, entertain me if you can. And, you'll get a write-up that might say, did not disappoint.
They go in with low expectations.
Yeah, but that's an enthusiastic response from an English newspaper. Whereas here, everybody's out to have a great time. But being at home in Ohio and walking out in Akron, holy moly, it's the best. I mean, I don't even have to do anything. I just walk out and everybody goes, yeah, and I want to cry. I actually have to do math when I walk out on stage in Akron, because the love is palpable, and the welcome, I've been sort of taken on by Ohio and adopted, which is just a lovely feeling for an alien. and I have to go 2 and 2 is 4, 4 and 2 is 6, 6 and 2 is 8, because I just want to go, oh, thank you.
Now, for anyone that grew up in Akron, Ohio, and is a performer, New York City is the goal. Oh. And of course, we're very fortunate. We love our hometown, Akron, Ohio, but we can be in New York in 6, 7 hours. You can go, and every young performer that aspires to do what you have done wants to go to New York. And so, you tell a story about the first time you sang a Carpenter song. And it was, if you would tell the story, I won't give away it for the audience. But the idea that, I love this line, well, let's just sing this Carpenter song. They're not listening anyway. Yeah. Tell me about, you're the resident. Of course I have. And to explain this, it was a great story, and I'd like to share it. Yeah.
So I was singing a very good jazz club. Mm-hmm. And, that particular night, there was a very noisy group of people in who obviously weren't there for the music. I had never sung a Carpenter's never sung a Carpenter's song in public before. Haven't had my cup of tea yet. And I had this one piece of music, this one song. So I handed it to the band. I said, let's just do this. And they went, a Carpenter's song? And I said, well, why not? No one's listening. And so we started singing. And within 30 seconds of me singing this song, the whole place went silent. And I thought, they either love it or they hate it. And when I finished, everybody went nuts. And I thought, oh, that was not what I was expecting. And the follow-up from this story, if you allow me.
Of course.
The next day, we arrived at this club, and it perhaps wasn't the best fit for me. It was like a very nice biker bar. But I didn't, I was new here. I didn't know. And I thought, oh, crikey. So we walked in and the band jokingly said, why don't you do a Carpenter song? And I thought, well, we're probably going to get asked to leave anyway. So why not? So I did the same thing. Within about 10 seconds, the place went silent. And then all the bikers sang along.
Wow.
And I went, oh my gosh. And we just couldn't leave there. They didn't want us to go. And I just started adding more songs and introducing them as I was going around, just sort of, is this, I'm going to try it again, and see what happens. And it just kept happening. And I thought, okay, I'm not the only CCF, Closet Carpenters fan out there. And I added until I had a whole show. And then I went to Howard Parr, who runs the Akron Civic. And he said, let's do it. So we did an on-stage, where the audience are on-stage show. Seats about 200 people. He called me within 3 weeks of it going on sale. He said, we have what we call a champagne problem. And I said, what? He said, we've sold out. And the rest is history.
That's wonderful. Now, how do you morph the Carpenters into a Christmas? What do you bring out for and what stories do you tell to lead into songs, and how do you put it all together?
I can't give too much away.
Right. But tease it, right, as they say.
So we still do some of the Carpenters classics, the Close to You's that we've only just begun. But the Carpenters loved Christmas music. So we've injected, of course, Merry Christmas, Darling. Was a great story behind that song. And I won't give too much away, but, it was one of Richard's favorite choir teacher. He wrote the song initially. And then Richard was looking for something new to do. And the choir teacher said, well, I've got this song. I don't much care for it, but if you want to fix it. And within a couple of minutes, Richard had fixed it and became Richard and Karen's biggest selling Christmas song ever, Merry Christmas, Darling. Mm-hmm. And we do some of the Warm and Fuzzies, but I also do use it. I'm going to use it this year as a platform to sing one of my own Christmas songs, which was very much inspired by the songwriting of Richard. So, and then we do some very cheeky stuff, some fun, slightly naughty stuff. I'm not giving too much away. You got to buy a ticket.
It's teasing it. I love it. And of course, then I went back and listened to a bunch of Carpenters that just call up Carpenters. And I'm like, oh, that's the Carpenters. Oh, I know of all these songs. I just didn't in my brain know their full body of work, know that was the Carpenters. But of course, we know every song.
Oh, yeah. And the show, usually when I produce a show, because I have other shows, I'm struggling for the last 4 or 5 songs, sort of scraping the bottom of the barrel. Not with the Carpenters. I actually had to medley songs. We had to do a half of this and half of that to get everything in to both Christmas and the Carpenters show. So it's another champagne problem. Great songs.
I don't know how I had never heard the term docu-musical or before, and to explain that concept or what inspired you or where did this come from, and in sharing the behind the scenes of some of the stories of who wrote what song and how this came to be, and in the recording studio, the record company coming in to listen to there's a violation of etiquette and rules. How does the docu-musical idea is incredible.
We were searching around because I dislike the word tribute because it's turned into this rather cheesy, put on a wig and look like whoever it is you're
sure.
Right. Whereas really that's not what tribute means. I mean, tribute really means to pay homage to. So I say that the show is so much more than a tribute or a look-alike. I'm not trying to do that at all. I'm not trying to copy her. I am celebrating the music, but telling the fascinating backstage stories that most people don't know, along with the, unmistakable sound that characterized the Carpenters. I mean, if you play 2 measures of a Carpenter song, you immediately know who it is, right? So we were, is it a documentary? No. Is it a musical? No. How about docu-musical? I still think it sounds a little dry. So
I like it.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, that's why I made a note.
So, thank you. So, but we still get comments, from social media. This guy recently said, you need a little less vibrato, and you'll sound just like her. And I said, not trying to sound like her. I sing with my voice, just happens to sound a bit like her.
Now in the UK, is London the way that all of the young performers in the United States want to go to New York in terms of Broadway and musical performance? Is it, as a young person, I want to go to London? You know, how far away was it from where you grew up? In other words, what was that for you? Or is London the music scene in New York?
The epicenter.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah, definitely. And I would say, I was being interviewed earlier this week, and I said to this particular lady, what's incredible about this area is that you have the Cleveland Orchestra, which is one of the big five. And the big five is Miami, the London Philharmonic, and I can't remember the others. You've got the Akron Symphony, the Cleveland Pops Orchestra, Severance Hall, Playhouse Square, which is the biggest theater district after Broadway. And you have E.J. Thomas Hall, Akron Civic, Blossom. You know, I could go on for days. But I chose to live here, and I didn't really know that at the time. I have had probably more opportunities here than I would have ever had if I'd have gone to New York. So although I did sing in New York and I did Broadway, I would say to young performers out there, and I am a coach, I'm a vocal coach, you know, reach out to me. If you want some tips and advice, you can actually achieve a lot more by not going to London or not going to New York, because if you go there, you'll be behind a line that's around the street after the same job as you. And there are so many opportunities in the music business that aren't Broadway, or as we call it, the West End.
On the topic of coaching and teaching, this is a passion for you and a joy and a love. And tell me about your work in teaching and mentoring and encouraging those coming up.
Yeah, it's multifaceted. I try, as we tour around, I love to go to colleges and do, I hate this word because it sounds so intimidating, master classes. But I always say to the students, you know, it's a very relaxed, safe atmosphere. And then they'll come and sing. And Joe, my piano player, and I will sit, and we'll all sit around together and sort of munch over how they can improve. But they can also ask us questions. There are very few, and it's to no fault of their own, there's very few teachers out there teaching the things that I teach because they've never taken the career path. Most teachers go to college and then they teach. And that's great. We need those people. I have a career in performing, but I want to give back. So it's very important for me. And even my manager, Teresa, gets quite annoyed with me in a very loving way, because after a crazy weekend of going to, you know, Indiana, Florida, and Pittsburgh, I then get up and teach on a Monday. But it's really important to me to not be thinking about myself all the time. And I have about 27 students. 2/3 of them are adults of all abilities. Some are out singing on the circuit, some are not. I also have some young people who are challenged in some way, and I love that. They find confidence through singing. And I don't want to give it up. I may have to cut back a little.
When you're on stage, you are singing, dancing, interacting with the band, and it very energetic. And how do you prepare for that? And then how do you teach preparation for being on stage, turning it on? You got to go. You have, no matter where you are, you have to do this for the audience. How do you prepare for it?
So I prepare for it by I'm very, very disciplined. So in the lead up to the show we just did at Severance Music Center, for example, I've been touring that show since 2017, but I probably rehearsed it from start to finish. Every word I say, every note I sing, I rehearsed that at least 30 times before Severance. So a bomb could go off and I will still be able to sing it. I walk, I keep fit. I eat very sensibly, and I have to stop drinking alcohol about 4 days before the show.
That's good advice.
And then I go to, a good night's sleep. And then my show day is I get up, I go for a 3-mile walk. I go through the show again, start to finish. And I like to be alone, and I eat bananas. That's about it on the day of a show.
How do you get in sync with an orchestra or a group of musicians that you've never performed with before? Or do you ever come into another town, another venue, and there's somebody you've never, and they've got to get on board with you? And how do you get into sync with them? And there's rehearsal beforehand, but if you're coming into town, You're there a day before?
Yeah.
How does this go?
So it depends on the show. So the Carpenter show in its current format, my band are like my four brothers, or my musical husbands, as I call them. How we've been together for years. We breathe in and out together. And we love one another. And it's so interesting because the audience comment on that. Oh my God, the love on stage. You can just see how well we all get on. So we travel together as a unit. The show's way too complicated to go into a town and just do pickup musicians. But with my symphony work or my big band work, the music gets FedExed to the orchestra and they have it so a certain amount of weeks out. I fly in. Hopefully the day before we do one run through because I know my chart, I know my music,
and these are professionals that
handle
anything.
Yeah, I have a little meeting with the conductor who he learns that I'm not just the singer. I can count off my tunes, and so they like that because I can give them a little hint.
Even if somebody's just a little off, you can get through
just a little metronome. Yeah,
I just want to know if it then. How is it for you, the joy of introducing this genre of music or this era of music to the next generation, young people coming in that may not have known the Carpenters or known some of the artists or some of the Broadway show music, but they're learning it through your shows? That must be joyful.
It's fabulous.
Rewarding.
Yeah. And when we see we just did a show in July for a choir, and it was a relatively small audience. I don't know, maybe 300 or 400, but a lot of them were a choir who didn't know anything about the Carpenters, but they'd learned Yesterday Once More in 5-part harmony, and they sang it to us in the lobby afterwards, and it just brought tears to my eyes. And I've had young people we've done a show at Playhouse Square 2 or 3 times. And I remember this 2 young girls stopping me, and I said, "Oh my gosh, why did you come to the Carpenters?" "Oh, my grandma listened to it." And I said, "Did you like?" "Oh, every song. I liked every song." And it's so interesting with my students. They'll all come to my studio, and I'm very much what music do you like? I want to know, what clothes do you wear kind of thing. I use that metaphor. So I want to make sure I give you the right clothes to wear. And then I might say, "Do you want to how about trying this song?" And I'll sing it for them. "Oh, I like that, Miss Helen." And then within about 2 months, they're not interested in the music they liked before. They say, "You pick the song, Miss Helen, because you pick far better songs than I do." And I always say I create monsters, But the trouble is now that, when we were young, we bought an album, right? It was very special. And you took it home. You played. I couldn't wait to get home on the bus. I played it. And I played it over and over again. But nowadays, they're saturated by so much music, they always don't know where to go. So it's an interesting conundrum we've created.
Yes. I remember when Adele did a live television performance, and the people around the globe watching, and then they cut backstage at the end, and she had a breakdown because it had nailed it. You could tell that was one of her greatest moments in her career, and she walks backstage and realizes everything that she had put into it, she nailed it. Did you ever have a moment where all of it you've done, but then there was this one that was just the moment, and how do you feel walking off stage after that?
Every now and again, you get they're almost like an out of body experience. I'm feeling it right now. It's like, as you told me that, I thought, "Oh my God, I've been there." It's happened a number of times, but you can't call upon it to happen. It just happens. So last year when we did Severance Music Center for the first time, the soundtrack was the worst soundtrack I've ever had in my entire life. I was singing and my voice was coming around and whacking me in the back of the head 3 seconds later, and the musicians. So they didn't know who to follow, voice number 1 or voice number 2. And we all came off stage completely demoralized, knowing we had to go on and do a show. Now remember, Severance Hall is an acoustic hall, so it's not used to having amplified instruments. We had the most incredible sound engineer, Bill Furtick, and he worked for the next hour. I walked on stage, and the first thing I do is sing a song. And suddenly, the whole sound was completely different. And my piano player, who was sort of hunched over at the piano, grew visually. And you could see us all going, "Oh my God, oh my God." And from that minute, I don't remember a single thing. the whole show just unraveled in this out-of-body experience. And I walked off stage and just dissolved. And when we did it 2 weeks ago, actually, it took a while. It was Sunday. And there were so many beautiful, loving messages coming through. And I sat on the couch with my husband and I just dissolved. And it's to be able to bring such joy to people. Sorry, it's happening right now, and I really don't mind. Is such a gift, and I'm so blessed to be able to do that.
I'm fortunate that you were able to be here today. This has been wonderful. I could ask you another 30 questions. But in the interest of time, I'm sure. But thank you so much for sharing. And then let's wrap up with, again, E.J. Thomas, Carpenter's Christmas on December 14th.
4 o'clock, and we can all go out for dinner afterwards.
That's great. And tickets at Ticketmaster.com and, of course, HelenWelch.com. Thank you so much for being a part of our program and for sharing stories and letting me dig a little deeper and take some extra. Thanks you for giving us extra time. Thank you for watching. And of course, there's a lot more to come right here on AOH Primetime. Stay with us.